Thank you for joining us for The Drive Back, the movie podcast where we imitate our favorite thing to do after a movie, which of course is to talk about it on the ride home. I'm Garrett, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Adrian.
Hey, how's it going?
And today, we've got another Rewatchables. What is a Rewatchable, Adrian?
Rewatchable is where both of us have seen the movie, and likely you've seen it as well if you're listening. It's just kind of one of those movies that's older, and we go ahead and we go back to see if it's still worth watching. Is it worth putting it on Netflix? Is it worth streaming? And we'll let you know.
That is absolutely right. And today, we've got a forgotten remake of a well-loved classic film, and that would be Poseidon. So
I never forgot it. Just to be clear.
So all of this and more coming up on the drive back. Alrighty, and we're back with a rewatchable for Poseidon. Adrian, I believe you actually picked this movie, which is pretty fitting because you just said it's been a part of your life for forever. What made you bring up Poseidon?
It's a movie that I don't know why, but it's one of those things like it seems referential at all times throughout my life since I originally saw this movie. Like I constantly am like, "Oh, Poseidon," and I feel like I just remember it all the time. But I hadn't seen it probably since the theaters, so I wanted to go back and rewatch it and see if it still held up. I mean, has a great cast from the lineup.
It's got like the fact that you hadn't watched it since 2006 when it came out, and you've remembered it this whole time.
Yeah,
must say something. But let's go ahead and dive in, and we'll go ahead and go over Poseidon real quick. Released in 2006, Poseidon was directed by Wolfgang Petersen and stars Josh Lucas, Kurt Russell, and Emmy Rossum. On New Year's Eve, the luxury ocean liner Poseidon capsizes after being swamped by a rogue wave. The survivors are left to fight for their lives as they attempt to escape the sinking ship.
The thing I want to talk about is how, in my opinion, how well the ship flipping scene holds up.
Yeah, well, I will agree.
I mean, I would say they blew an insane amount of budget for the CGI at the time to make that happen, and it looks great. It's an awesome scene to see an entire cruise liner flip over. It's awesome.
I'll say the CGI holds up, definitely, and I think without spoiling too much about how I think, the sequence of the ship flipping over, like initially in the wave hitting it, is the best part of the entire movie.
Like, no, absolutely. The visual of that is just stunning.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy to see, and like you see it out on the horizon as the wave comes, and it's crazy. But yeah, and then I also found myself thinking, just as kind of like that same visual aspect, I found myself really enjoying the sets of an upside down everything. Like walking on the ceiling or the walls and going down to go up and all that stuff I thought was really cool. And I could not help but think that I want to play a Poseidon video game in an upside down cruise ship. I think that would be an incredible stage for just the same story. Just get out of the ship, like a survival game. I think it would be awesome.
Maybe it's just because I've been playing it so much recently, but I would love to see that as a VR title.
Yeah, where you're actually, just the
you have to like turn valves and grab things. Oh,
especially
cool.
That main center stage where there's like the fire below and the oil and the water, and it's like the whole hallway with the elevators. Mm-hmm. That is like the scene you turn the corner, and that's the title for like the Poseidon shows up in the game, and it's like, now you're here,
Poseidon. Yeah, that'd be freaking awesome. But we can't really talk about what could be. we got to talk about what we got, because this. Oh boy, this movie. Real quick, kind of, we'll go ahead and drop a spoiler warning. Spoilers for Poseidon if you haven't seen it. It's one of those movies that was always on cable. That you can watch
on repeat.
If you never watched it, then it's on Netflix. Yeah, so go ahead and watch it there. But actually, a quick fun fact to tie this in: this movie was originally 25 minutes longer.
What was added, or what was taken out?
I'm glad. So this is one of those few instances, except for the Snyder Cut, where I go, good that you cut it out. It was
Okay.
25 minutes more before the wave hits.
Oh, that would have really dragged.
Yeah, like there's an entire subplot where the captain and Fergie are having like an affair, and like
Oh, I don't need that. Just flip
exactly,
the shit. Just like
just flip it. Let's kill like 98% of the people.
Also, I mean, they do not shy away from some pretty gruesome deaths in this movie. I was surprised. For 2006, they showed quite a bit of violent deaths.
Which again, like we talked about this on the Guilty Pleasures episode
Yeah.
when I brought up Hellboy. I appreciate it when filmmakers show. I mean, like disaster movies, you see a lot of people dying,
It's like in the
right?
background, or they
Yeah,
insinuate that they died.
Yeah, like 2012, you're seeing people on those like the pieces of like the continent that are falling down. You're like, oh, they're not gonna make it. But
Or the
like
helicopter crashes into a building, but you don't get to see. They're not showing you the people.
exactly, this one you're seeing people like hit railings and get impaled and like,
Yeah, like the camera follows them as they fall 8 floors, and then it just also shows them hit the ground.
yeah. Like let's be real. It would be like when that ship first gets hit and you're in that pool on top. That
They
has
showed that,
gotta
yeah.
be terrifying. You're like, whoa! Like you're like, well, I didn't know they put a wave function into this thing. An actual wave comes down.
But I also
Oh,
really
man.
appreciated, again, that scene was so cool because I really thought they had somebody on set that was really paying attention to how physics work and how structures work. Not for the people, but like, for example, when the pool flips, the water is held by the glass of I'll call it an atrium,
Yeah.
for a moment, but then that glass was never built to support that amount of weight. So after a short amount of time, it snaps and the water falls out delayed. And I just thought the little details like that made it really, really more interesting to watch every aspect of that flip turn.
Yeah. That's true. I just wish that person was on set for the entire concept of the movie. But like,
Hey, that's not real.
you guys can't do it. Get him out of here. Give him
Also, when the ship almost flips all the way around. It does
Yeah.
come up on the other end, which is cool. But Fergie was I mean, I saw her and I was like, what?
Oh my
Fergie is
gosh.
the main singer, and she has such a D plot in this movie. Like,
She doesn't even have a plot. She just shows up to be the New Year's Eve singer.
yeah, but and now that you say the 25 things, you can tell at the very end when she goes to the captain, and
Yeah.
they like have that weird little moment where they're crying to each other before everything implodes. But yeah, it's she didn't need to be in the movie. Would have rather seen anybody else.
Like literally, she gets on stage and she sings the same line like 4 times, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, anyone could have done that. Why did you waste budget money on Fergie? On someone who's not
1/4
going
of
to
the
age
Black
well
Eyed
in
Peas.
16 years? Like, you know. Oh, man. Yeah, but
I did enjoy the captain from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't know his name,
Andre
to be
Braugher.
honest. Yeah, but I really like him in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I actually thought he made, obviously, a good captain of the ship. I feel like I would have liked to have seen more of him before the ballroom scene. Like, I didn't know who he was until Catastrophe hit. So I feel like I
Yeah.
could have gotten a little more of him.
Definitely. Maybe if there were a couple minutes added, we could have seen more of him in the actual,
Captaining.
captaining role.
Or schmoozing and boozing, like just talking to everybody, or at
Yeah,
least
like,
leaving.
hey, look at like,
Or like giving, the easiest one would have been to give the little kid like a model of the cruise and be like, "Hey, kiddo."
well, that
I'm
was
the
actually one of the
captain."
scenes was when the kid and his mom visit the bridge, and that's where you would have seen him for the first time.
He's there.
No, so
I don't remember that.
in the 25 minutes that was cut.
Oh, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah, so that's what I needed, just not Fergie.
but also I also want let's kind of get digging into some more critiques here. The beginning is edited really weird. Like it's very jump cutty when you're meeting all the different people that you're supposed to care about,
Yeah,
and like it's because one of the good things about this movie is that the rogue wave hits 15 minutes in, and
Yeah.
most of this movie is spent during Catastrophe, which works to the movie's benefit.
yeah,
But
disaster movie.
that 15 minutes before is painful. It is
Yeah.
awful. Like you're
Yeah,
supposed
I
you're
feel
supposed to Like, you're supposed to show that you're supposed to care about these characters 15 minutes in. And I don't know if it's just because it's a disaster movie, but I wanted to see them all bite it. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, how is this person going to die? There are a couple people who I was shocked died.
Oh, yeah.
In which we can talk about
Well,
real quick.
Okay, go ahead. Who was your big shock?
It was I don't remember the name of the character, but it was the stowaway girl.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, in any movie you could watch, you would expect her to get revived.
yeah,
And this movie was like, no, she did.
she's
She's
dead.
done.
She was the only character we actually make you care about, and now she's dead.
Which was obviously, you could tell the point. Once they started focusing on her, I was like, there's no way she can make it through this. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, and Kevin Dillon gets his just rewards. He was like the sleazy poker guy,
Yeah.
and his scene when he fought, like, oh, that was great. Other than that, I don't care about any of the characters in this movie. Like,
I did really like the Kurt Russell death. I thought that's exactly what happens when people drown. It's not like you just peacefully go to sleep or anything. It's like your body's fighting
oh
to
yeah,
not have water in it. And I thought he did a great job. I don't know like how they did that, but it was awesome to watch. Not to watch someone die, but like the actual shot itself was really cool.
yeah, definitely. That was well done. What wasn't well done is his backstory, that he is like an
Used to be the
ex-firefighter
mayor.
and then the mayor of New York City. But then, like, and this is one of the kind of the fun facts that I saw. It was like a continuity or a character error. He used to be a fireman.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't know, my father was a firefighter. My brother is an EMT. Like, when you go up to a door that has fire behind it, you're supposed to put the back of your hand on a door.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. He doesn't even check if the fire extinguisher works. He doesn't, like, put his back of a hand. He doesn't act like a firefighter in that situation. He's like,
Well, they already knew the door was really hot because they threw the water on it and it was steaming.
true.
So he didn't need to touch it at all. But the fire extinguisher, yeah, nobody tested any of. They were just like,
Yeah, let's go ahead.
do it.
Let's go ahead. Just, oh, it worked. Good.
What's the movie? I think it's Backdraft is the movie where I learned about the hand thing. There's a famous firefighter movie. I think it's called
Backdraft is the most well-known one. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a door, and they're worried about a flash fire. Like, they open the door, it suddenly gets oxygen, and it explodes.
Yeah.
And
the
that's
Backdraft.
where the guy that goes to reach for it, and he's like, whoa, whoa, you got to do the back of your hand. And that has stuck with me forever.
Yeah, it's supposed to, so you don't limit the use of your hand. It's just like,
Yeah, you can still grab things or do whatever, in case it does immediately give you a third-degree burn.
yeah, that's a movie we should watch at some point. Is
Yeah.
Backdraft.
Yeah. I
Very
love
good.
that movie. Yeah,
Very
that's
good movie.
great rewatchable. I
bad
can tell you right
that's-
now, it's worth rewatching.
Well, we'll have to put it on the schedule. But yeah, I'm trying to look at my other notes here. This movie commits a cardinal sin for me.
Oh, it's in the water. Just, I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, like, thalassophobia and stuff is real. Like,
Oh, yeah.
deep water is terrifying. But no, it's at the very end of the movie. Now, I hate to bring up a quote-unquote better disaster movie, because it's not really better. But the biggest comparison I can make is The Day After Tomorrow. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, The Day After Tomorrow may not be a great movie. It's kind of mediocre. But there is... The theme song for that movie slaps.
Yeah.
And that theme song, that heroic trumpeting horn music plays throughout. At the very end, you're like, you know what? I survived that too by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
At the end of this movie, as they're floating there in their little life raft and the helicopters come overhead and it cuts to the credits, it starts playing a really bad pop song. And I was like, no, I would have jumped
You
into
hate
the
that,
water
yeah.
and died if I had known that was coming. Like, I didn't want to survive this movie.
You get all the way out of the ship and someone plays Justin Bieber, and you're like, no, that's it.
Take the flare gun.
Wow,
to
with
it.
a flare gun, that'd be a wild way to go.
Right into the night. Ah!
Well, at least people couldn't look; it'd be too bright, so you'd have your privacy for a little.
Hey, Mom, look, I'm Ghost Rider. Ah!
Jesus,
We're getting dark on this episode. That's so good. Anything
I
else
also
you want to
thought,
bring up?
just like in terms of I guess I don't know, physics, I guess, but or just the way things work. I feel like Kurt Russell died because the propellers were inverted, so air was coming into the ship instead of going out. That doesn't mean you can't put something in that tube and have it blow up. That thing, he didn't do anything. You just put that in and close the door. It'll bounce around a little bit because of all the negative pressure, but it still you still could have done it. I feel like they kind of were just like, someone has to die. We got to do this. And they also tried to have that whole Armageddon plot twist final moment where the dad goes instead of the son-in-law. And Armageddon just does it so much better. It's super disappointing in this movie.
Which is actually interesting that you say that, because Armageddon was directed by Michael Bay.
Yeah, love that movie.
This was originally supposed to be directed by Michael Bay.
Well, I probably would have liked it more because I feel like he has a better grasp of kind of the violence of disaster.
We probably would have gotten a lot more, like...
Transformers.
No. Auto ships, roll out. No, like, it's like you probably would have got more of like near upskirt shots of Emmy Rossum and like, oh, this girl is of questionable age of consent.
And lens flares in the dark.
And firework explosions that don't look real at all.
And then we would have just gotten a call at the beginning after the ship flipped. We were going to gone, Poseidon, it's Optimus Prime. Are you okay? You seem to be flipped over.
Do you still have the Allspark?
Witwicky is on his way.
It's just Shia LaBeouf on a speedboat. Oh my god.
Sector 7 is on the chase.
Was it the Decepticons? No, I also want to point out that the other original director would have made this a much better movie. So this was originally supposed to be produced by Wolfgang Petersen, who's the director. Okay. The original director was supposed to be Steven Spielberg.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
So Spielberg left this to do War of the Worlds and Munich, which both of those are better than this movie.
Yeah, but I think this one may have, had he done this, I think it would have been the better project.
It would have been probably as revered as the original.
Yeah, at least like talked about in better circles than it probably currently is. But that's really interesting.
Yeah.
What a great assortment of projects he had to pick from.
He still has a great assortment of projects to pick from.
Except Super 8.
Well, Super 8, he didn't. That was J.J. Abrams.
No. Oh, produced by Steven Spielberg. Yeah. He produced it.
I mean, I like that movie, so...
Really? We should review it. Yeah. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I own it, so...
well, here's his opinion.
Well, I bought it like the 3 months after it came out in theaters or whatever, like when it first released, because I was like, at the time I was like, well, this is really good, and I haven't seen it since then. So
yeah.
But another interesting, the last kind of fun fact trivia thing that I have. So Richard Dreyfuss is in this movie. He plays the older guy of the
the guy that's going to commit suicide.
That was going to. Yeah.
He's going to jump off the ship and then...
Literally was going to jump off the ship into the water and then saw that water was coming and thought that was a bad idea. like you're not going to get...
I think you'd be like, oh, thanks, God. Here's the... let's go.
Thanks for making it easier. All right, cool. Just like... But apparently, this is a good sign when he legitimately and has gone on record saying he did this movie just for the money. And... the money from this movie got his kid into college.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing, actually. I feel like that really kind of... I like that because I think it shows more kind of the other side of Hollywood. Of like, we're so used to like the Robert Downey Jr.'s and people doing it for the role. Like, oh, I just have to finish my character off correctly. Like, I got to see it through. He's just like, nah, I just needed...
Or it's like you see it for... like contractual reasons, like I'm contractually obliged to play this character,
or like I signed on for 8 movies and I have to keep doing it.
Yeah, the contractual reason.
Yeah,
you see it for like the artistic reason, where people are like, I just love to be a part of the craft, like Daniel Day-Lewis type people. But then you usually like then you get like the D and F list actors who are like, I just need to make a quick buck so I can eat.
And that's always known,
yeah. And then you get people like Richard Dreyfuss who are doing it for altruistic reasons. Like, I don't really want to do this movie, but I'll do it to get my son into college.
Just that whole one extra paycheck is like, there you go. Your whole college doesn't eat into our savings. The one that I always reference for this kind of like the contractual, like how much people doing it for the money, in Alien franchise, when they contacted Sigourney Weaver about the second movie, she was with her agent and they were kind of pitching her the idea, and they said, what would it take? Like, would you be willing to shave your head? Or maybe it was the fourth one,
That's the
whichever
third
one
one.
third one, yeah. And she literally just looked at her. She said, "Oh, hold on," and she went to her manager or her person and went, "I don't know, how much does it cost to shave my head?" And the manager was like, "It costs this much," and she was like, and it was like literally like I think it was like $1 million.
What
And
the hell?
yeah, and then they were like, "Okay, well, yeah, that's fine." Just on the phone, she just was like, "Yeah, pay me more, I'll do it."
Jeez, I would have been like, yeah, I'll do that part for free. Just
But see,
like,
that's why we're not famous
that's
actors.
why that's why we're still considered the pawns in the world. Um, but yeah, anything else you want to throw about this movie? Because I feel like this one of the problems I had with this movie is like disaster movies are fun to watch. I mean, because usually there's something somewhere that's kind of tense or threatening. I never really felt a lot of tension in this movie.
I felt a lot of tension against the kid that kept running away. I would have handcuffed that child to the radiator because he disappears like 5 times, and his mom's like, "We're gonna die if you keep running away," and he's like, "Goodbye," and he's gone.
Goodbye. I don't want to be here anymore.
And he gets into so many bad situations. I hated that. And then I think just to kind of loop back to the beginning of the movie when they're introducing everyone, it feels so overly scripted. The way that they talk about each character and what each character says, it's like they had a list of like, write 3 bullet points about your character. And so like for the old man, he's like, I have a lot of money. I I was left by a significant other, and I want to die. So he buys a $5,000 bottle of wine, and everyone at the table is like, "That's crazy." And he's like, "It's nothing." And then he's also like, literally segues immediately into, "He's gone. We're not together anymore. We know nothing about who this is at all." And then he goes and tries to kill himself. Like, and they do that for every character. It's like there were 3 things that they had to hit on, and it feels so forced, but it gets you enough knowledge to be like, okay, I know who each person is, but it doesn't feel good at all in the beginning when you're
Yeah.
learning. It's
It's
not fun.
it's very, very not fun.
And I think Kurt Russell lost like $80,000 at the poker table on New Year's or
Something
something.
like that, yeah. Like that mayor's salary's coming in clutch right there.
Ex-mayor. He's not even getting paid anymore.
How are you
Yeah.
supporting this? And he's got to pay
It's
for his
crazy.
daughter's wedding, and
Yeah.
which the way he treats that them is
Oh
just so stereotypically like the mean father. Like, you guys better not be having fun. Technically, this is my property until we're all.
Just disrespectful. Like he treats the boyfriend like a child.
It is really funny though when the first time he comes into the room and they're like sitting there, and he's like, "Oh, this is technically my roof or whatever," and she's like, "There's so many hidden parts of this ship. We could do what you're thinking we're doing,
Yeah,
literally anywhere." I thought that was actually pretty great.
yeah. I think the movie. I think the ship was a character in this movie, and it was the best character. I think you watch this movie to see an upside down cruise ship.
I was rooting for the ship.
Yeah.
It's like fill that
Go
compartment,
down!
fill the compartment with water. Let's go. Like,
Oh, and it's all about the spectacle in this movie. I mean, when the glass starts breaking in the ballroom, I think they actually. When I first watched this, I remember looking up, but I think they had like an actual set, and it was like 10,000 gallons of water that they flooded that room with, and it was
Yes.
all with stunt people,
yeah, and then they could actually drain it in the matter of a couple of hours and stuff.
and then reset everything up. Yeah, it was. They really did though.
What is interesting, there's also some other fun facts I didn't write down, but I remember the ballroom, they actually built 2 of them. There was an entire set of it normal side up, and then there was another set of it upside down. They were like right next door to each other. So
That's pretty trippy.
so they could film. But then also, did you know there's only one outside shot in this entire movie? The rest of it was all done inside sound stages.
What do you mean outside the cruise ship?
No, there's one shot they filmed outside,
Oh,
like not in a sound
do you
stage.
think I could guess it?
I go ahead.
Do you think it's possible that I could
Yeah.
guess it? I'm gonna guess it's the rescue scene. They were in a pool outside.
No.
I don't know.
Think First half of the movie.
First half? Mm-hmm. Oh, the running scene? Where he's running on the
very beginning.
ship? Yeah.
That was filmed on the deck of the Queen Mary.
Interesting. Seems like weird expense to make for that.
Which that shot was interesting. It was like a whole like 360 degree, like showed off the visual effects and everything. But did you really need to do like outside filming? All right, cool.
Let's get the whole crew there and pay salaries to go do this one shot.
I mean, it was probably cheaper than the visual effects at the time, actually. But
that's probably true. I don't know what the cost was, but I bet that ship flip scene cost quite a pretty penny.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a spectacle movie. You watch it to see rooms upside down, to see rooms flooded, to see inverted hallways and upside down elevators and stuff. That's what you watch it for, and it delivers on that point.
Yeah.
The acting carries you along from scene to scene, but it's all about seeing how an upside down ship sinks.
I'm not gonna say the acting carries you through. I'll say it manages to like limp wrist drag you along. Yeah,
it's like you go in for a firm handshake with the ship, and then you just get the like, oh, hello.
The thing that really guides you through is the fact that like wherever they were before is destroyed or flooded or something, and then like that is what pushes these characters forward. Not plots, not backstories, not dialogue. It's the fact that everywhere they were before is driving them forward.
Because literally every single scenario is in order to move forward, we have to flood this room.
Or we have to solve this problem.
But there's literally like 4 rooms, and the plot of those rooms is we have to flood these to open the next room. And then
especially towards the end.
Yeah, and then that room will flood, and then we'll get into the next room, and then that room floods, and then we'll just go till we find a door.
This movie would be great for us to do like a Mystery Science Theater type thing for.
That'd be fun.
Which would be a lot of fun. But unfortunately, we can't post that on YouTube because it's copyright laws and everything.
You have to be real careful about the... well, you can... I mean, people do it, but you just got to show only certain little clips and stuff.
Yeah, or do we just record the audio, and people can sync up the audio with the movie while they watch it.
Yeah, that's true.
So, well, if you want us to do that, leave a comment. Well, I think that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah. But anyhow, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Poseidon, what did you think, Adrian? What's your final thoughts? What's the score?
My final thought is that I think the ship was the favorite part of this movie for me. I think it was the best character. I think it deserved performance of the year for 2006. I think it did great. I can't believe they got it to perform the way they did in real life.
Paid a lot of money.
Yeah, $1 million. Sigourney Weaver was in charge. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely that's what you watch this movie for, and it does deliver on those points, and it is fun to see that. The rest of the movie could be scrapped. That's why I think this would be better as a video game now. I think it'd be cooler for to experience it firsthand without all the bad acting and stuff. I think it would be way better as a solo experience, and because of that, I gave it a 53. I think it's fun. I think if you want a disaster movie and you haven't seen this one, this is definitely a fun one. It's going to be neat to revisit. The CGI still holds up from 2006. It is a fantastic scene. It's really engaging. That whole like probably 10 minutes where it's first flipping is incredible. So definitely, I would say worth going back if you have nothing else to watch.
There you go. Yeah, it would be interesting to see something like this, or like the Towering Inferno, or like some of those older disaster movies redone as like survival VR games or just video games. I think that would be a cool way to do remakes.
Imagine each of the rooms they go into if you had to figure out how to get through it. And then there were multiple ways, but it's kind of like a free choice but guided story. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Or you could do it like a roguelite. Like every run is different kind of a thing. I don't know.
Different runs depending on where you go and how you approach things, yeah.
True. But yeah, so as far as my final thought, I said, while it has spectacle, it's not always good spectacle, as this mediocre remake plods its way through unlikable characters and completely unrealistic situations. I was pretty close to you, actually. I gave it a 46.
Oh, nice.
It has fun moments. It's not all bad, but it's just certainly not memorable, at least for me. I mean, you know, you seem to have kept it in your life.
I'll still reference it. Maybe it's just that I've always thought it's a funny reference to make. Like, I remember Poseidon. Why are you talking about
I just imagine you in a pool sometime, and you're just like, doesn't this feel like Poseidon?
and then I roll over.
Your legs just come out of the water. Or no, you have like a friend, or like Cassidy's in like one of those like lounging floats, and you're like, Poseidon, and you flip it.
Right before I start circling, and I go, shh, the water, something doesn't feel right.
Rogue wave, Poseidon.
I think someone should intercut this with the interstellar planet with the waves in the distance. That's what I want. I just figured it out. That's the scene I want. Is somebody to do that.
Well, Adrian, the water isn't deep enough for a whole cruise ship to be.
It could be.
No, they're standing in the water. It's like a foot deep.
But the edit would be it'd be cutting between.
True.
You just have to color grade it to match either way.
You just have Matthew McConaughey's ship flying over the Poseidon as it just flips over. But anyhow, that's going to bring us to an end for this episode. Next week, we're debuting a new episode type. So be on the lookout for that. It's very similar to what we're doing here. Just the way we get the movies a little bit different, which we still need to get that movie.
I thought we had it.
No
I
one
could say.
you.
Yeah, Cassidy gave us the movie.
Oh, I have not heard this. What is the movie we're going to watch? Oh, Land of the Lost. That is right.
Yeah.
So next week we'll be reviewing Land of the Lost as per our new episode type, Phone a Friend. Looking forward to that.
We really felt that we always get a lot of movie recommendations, but with the podcast we have such a backlog. We wanted to introduce an episode that really lets like us get to those movies instead of having a backlog where we kind of get burned out on all these other movies. You can kind of jump to the top of the list. So if you have a movie recommendation, doesn't matter what it is, but you want it to be the next Phone a Friend episode, let us know. It's kind of a way for us just to kind of keep up with the friend requests and all that stuff. So
more ways for me to skewer movies that my friends love and lose some of their respect. But
that's a choice, Garrett. Choice.
Adrian, if any of our listeners or viewers if they haven't got it by now, where can they find us?
The Drive Back Podcast on pretty much everything. You can talk to us on Instagram. We post whenever we have new episodes there, and we like to engage with some of our listeners on there. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever else you got, that's still the Drive Back Podcast, but you can follow us on there. We post every Monday. And then here on YouTube, we post some exclusive content. We just did a Spider-Man No Way Home review just here on YouTube. And those exclusive things are more like those midnight movie reveals or something that doesn't really need a whole episode because obviously everybody's going to go see it, so we don't need to kind of rehash it. But we do want to just get some content out there and let you guys know what we think about it in case you're wondering. So that stuff happens here on YouTube, so make sure to follow and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications because, again, there's exclusive stuff here that you can't get on following us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And then also, if you feel so inclined and you enjoyed it, leave a 5-star review. That's the best thing that helps us out, is actually getting those big reviews in on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and saving it and all that. So if you feel inclined, go ahead and do it, but no pressure.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're doing this for fun. We're not getting paid for this. So, I mean, your support really means a lot. And so, thank you for it. But thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week with our new episode type. Until then, we love you so much. Have a good one. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Drive Back. Make sure to be on the lookout for new episodes every Monday, and make sure to follow us on social media.